Because like I said, the last few times I've done Fox.
I think we're going live on Facebook now.
Okay.
Let me see if we're live.
Because like I said, the last few times I've done Fox.
Ah, we're live on Facebook. I think we're going live on Facebook now.
Like I said, the last few times I've done Fox.
Ah, we're live on Facebook. I think we're going live on Facebook now.
We are live and in living color.
Ah, we're live on Facebook. I think we're going live on Facebook now.
We are.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, we are live on Facebook. I have it on here, so let's go. Guys,
Let's get right into
I apologize for technical difficulties. We had to improvise and jump to another another site. Hey, this is what you do when you're working from home and you're doing these shows. You got to improvise and be creative. And guess what? We are creative and we're starting.
There you go.
So let's start.
We're not all over.
This is Dr. Leslie Rogers, psychologist and host of Mental Health Talk. The purpose of Mental Health Talk is to promote ongoing dialogue around mental health and well-being. Welcome today to my show. Today's guest is executive pastry chef, Padua Player. Let me just tell you a little bit about him and then we'll move on. Executive pastry chef, Padua Player, also known as Sugar Chef, has been praised for his work by Vice President Biden, featured on WE TV's Platinum Weddings, and was a competitor on Food Network's Sweet Genius and Holiday Baking Championship. I remember watching both of those. Padua Player won the 2013 Capital Food Fights High Stakes Cake Battle in DC, hosted by Duff Goldman. Following that success, he returned in 2014 and 2015 as a celebrity chef judge and appeared on Cooking Channel's Cake Hunters in 2018. Television called on him once more to appear on Chopped Sweets on Food Network in 2020. Chef Padua has his own line of gourmet desserts and has provided his sweet delicacies to countless celebrity clientele. Oh my God, that was a lot to read.
It's okay.
But that just basically says that you are awesome. That's what that says. Right?
I don't know.
So
I think I'm okay.
No, you are awesome. So what's going on? We finally got you here. What's going on?
Just, I am living the dream. Living the dream.
Yeah, I know you.
I'm glad to be here with you and with your mental health talk audience.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on here too. Okay, listen, guys, you know how I am. I have had several friends on Mental Health Talk to talk about our life, especially friends that grew up together. You guys, if you guys remember, I had Ronald Winky Wright on here. We grew up as best friends. Listen, Padua Player, we also grew up together. All of us were on the corner. He was on the corner with us, right? What you looking like?
No,
that?
I wasn't.
Yeah, you were.
I was not on the corner with you guys. I was in the house studying. And we're gonna go with that.
Yeah. So listen, guys, he lived on a corner and we all used to play outside together, walk to school together. So I love bringing my support systems and my childhood friends on here because I love to see where we've ended up. I mean, you know, how we grew up, we could have been like on drugs or, on anything, any negative consequences, but we grew up to be quite successful. You're successful. Winky Wright is successful. I'm trying to be successful. I am successful.
You are.
Right. So now tell me about yourself. What's going on?
Just enjoying life, trying to stay cool out here in these hot. Life is great. Life is great. And as you know, it's an ongoing journey, all of us. And I'm glad to still be here, considering everything that we're going through now. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So let me tell you, I would have never guessed you would have grown up to be a pastry chef. What happened there?
Really? Okay. What happened?
Not what happened, but what made you become a chef? What made you become a chef? Oh, I'm okay with that.
So it's mutually beneficial for the both of us. Well, growing up, I've always helped my mom in the kitchen, and that's really where I got my first baking lesson from, was from my mama. Helping her make her sweet potato pie. She did that like for all the family holidays and things like that, made rolls and just all kinds of things. And so I was always there. I was her little sous chef. I was always there, snipping the string beans, mix the pies with her. She taught me how to make her rolls and things like that. So I always was my mom's sous chef. And so that's where I think I first discovered my passion baking.
Mhm.
Yeah, right beside my mom in the kitchen.
Now, I see a lot of pastry chefs on the when competing, they often say that they were self-taught. Did you actually go to school for it, or were you self-taught?
No, I'm a graduate of Baltimore College many, many moons ago. But life's experiences are always the best teachers for any of us, especially creatives. I mean, school gives you the structure, it teaches you the creative, well, it teaches you the technical aspect of baking, but I think you get your life lessons, and you kind of grow and kind of get your feet wet just by working in the business and working in different venues, working in different restaurants and things like that. So I think that's where you get, and that's where you establish your style. You kind of hone your skills by working in the actual business. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What was your first professional job as a chef?
Wow. Well, let me think. Okay. Well, you know, I literally, when you hear about chefs kind of working themselves up through the ranks, I literally did that. I'll tell you about my first job in a restaurant, and then I'll kind of tell you how I kind of graduated and moved myself up, because that'll help me to remember my timeline versus trying to call it off the top of my head, because then I have to kind of scan my memory bank and figure out where I was. So my very first restaurant job, I was in high school, and got a job. I always was a kind of industrious kid, so I always loved to keep money in my pocket. So I got a job after school. I was washing dishes in a restaurant downtown, right off Connecticut Avenue. Very, it was a, let me think. It was my very first time ever working in a restaurant, period. And one of the best restaurants in DC, a very acclaimed chef, his name was Bob Kincaid. So I started off washing dishes. So whenever you work in a restaurant, you're not just washing dishes. I mean, I was a kid washing dishes, and they started asking me to peel carrots and potatoes and showing me how to do, oysters pancetta. So I was shucking oysters and cutting pancetta, slicing pancetta on the slicer, and I was just kind of doing all kinds of things. So, while I was doing that, I kind of befriended the pastry chef. Her name was Susan McCrack Lindenberg, and I really consider her to be my pastry mentor. And I told her I would always bring in little pastries for her to sample. And so, I was always bringing, like quick bread, some mixes and things like that. And I would add a little something to it. Or, at the time I couldn't bake a biscuit to save my life, literally. My biscuits would turn out like hockey pucks, honestly. So she said, you know what? She said, why don't you help me out and work part-time with me on weekends? So that was my very first time. Like, she taught me how to use a scale. She was really known for her bread. So she taught me how to make French bread. She taught me how to make her pumpernickel bread. And again, another love that I discovered, I love to make ice cream. So she taught me how to make ice cream. She taught me how to use a scale. So I was just doing all kinds of things. So I was promoted in the restaurant as a working cold station, like the garde station. And I would plate all the fancy appetizers and things like that. And I was like, mm-mm. But we would also have to plate the desserts. So of course, that was my favorite thing to do. I would always plate the desserts and things like that. And so I just started helping her on weekends. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to do this full time. So I worked there at the restaurant a couple of years, and then I got a job working at a wholesale bakery. I worked there for a little while. And then I was like, okay, went to culinary school, came back home, and I started working for Bob Kincaid's other restaurant at the time. And that was Kincaid's right off of Pennsylvania Avenue, another DC staple restaurant that was, highly acclaimed because he was a really super talented chef, God rest his soul. So I started working there. And then I got the opportunity to work. Oh my God, I can't think where did I work after that? I think I got a job at a Mediterranean restaurant. Well, actually, it was at an Italian restaurant right off of 15th Street called Notte Luna. That was my very first pastry chef job. And again, that's where I kind of discovered my love for making ice cream, desserts. I love plating things like that. And that's where I kind of coined the name Sugar Chef. At the time, the executive pastry chef would always say, "Hey, Sugar Chef, we need blah, 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 blah." And I would always say to him, "Why do you keep calling me Sugar Chef?" He was like, "Because you work with all the sweet stuff and blah, 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 blah." And the name just kind of stuck. So that's where the name came from. So that was my very first job at a place called Notte Luna many, many moons ago in downtown DC, right off of 15th Street. And then that restaurant closed and they kind of recreated and reopened, and it was a Mediterranean restaurant. And I was a pastry chef there as well. So yeah, just kind of working my way through the ranks.
That's excellent. You have a lot of experiences to talk about. So have you ever cooked like savory foods, or did you go right into the specialty of pastry?
Well, believe it or not, I did cook. I was a line cook at a couple different places, but I just wasn't passionate about it. You know what I mean? I didn't, to me, it was no fun making hamburgers or peeling carrots and onions and I just, no. I was like, I like working with desserts, and that's what I'm going to focus on. All right, no way,
Right. And I'm a
no
meat,
more onions and carrots, and no.
so I'm a meat and potato type of person. I don't really eat sweets that much. So give me a steak any day.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So was that journey? Did that journey have any challenges, like
Well,
becoming
of
a
course
chef
it did.
or branding your name?
Yeah, of course. Um, You've just been a man that was a native Washingtonian. You're working with foods that you may not necessarily be familiar with, even though I was a culinary school graduate. You're working with different ingredients that you're not familiar with. So it's a lot of research, a lot of studying. And you have to kind of earn your stripes. You come into a lot of situations where where people may have these preconceived ideas on who you are, uh, what your life has been or what your life is, what your experiences have been. So those were challenging times for me, but I just stayed true to who I was as a person and as a pastry chef. And I say true to who I was and just kind of, you know, I have a sharp mouth. I have a sharp tongue rather.
Oh, do you?
And so I don't, well, the old saying is, I don't suffer fools gladly. You know what I mean? And if you can give it to me, I'm certainly going to give it back to you. And so that's always that has helped me in the restaurant business to not be a pushover in a lot of different ways, professionally as well as personally.
Yeah.
And so you have to stay true to who you are, and you have to kind of push through the challenges and the mountains that you're gonna encounter in any type of work situation or any work environment. And so you just kind of muster through it and put on your big boy pants and you just kind of do it.
And I asked that question because I've read about chefs experiencing mental health, especially within amongst chefs, and especially amongst black chefs. Right. So
Oh yeah.
can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. It's the struggle is definitely real for chefs of color. A lot of times we may not have the opportunities, we may not get the recognition that a lot of our counterparts may may have or have gotten. Many times, most of us, we have to kind of create our own lane. At least that's what I've learned over the years. Sometimes you can't wait to be invited. You have to kind of create your own environment. And at that point, you invite others to that. And that's how your table grows and so on and so forth. So, um, as any person of color and in a professional environment, you will certainly come across a lot of different hurdles. If you stay close and keep your feet on the ground, I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of people to mentor me of all different shades, colors, everything. And you just, and then my mother was she was a very wise woman and would teach me the ways of the world and how people would treat you or how people may perceive you. So I kind of started my culinary journey with my eyes open, but still a little wet behind the ears, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I've been fortunate to have mentors and to have people that have talked me through various situations and have given me great advice that I carry with me to this day. So it's great for any person of color, especially in the hospitality industry, to surround yourself with people who can mentor you and pour into you and nurture you and to give you sound advice and they care about you. They may not even be in the industry, but they know the challenges that you may face in any professional setting. So I've been fortunate and blessed enough to have those people around me. So that has helped me to maneuver my way through a lot of tough situations. And just being a chef in the business, a lot of chefs, because it's a stressful environment, you're on. A lot of times you may not get the recognition, and that goes for all kinds of chefs. So, a lot of us may turn to drinking or may turn to drugs or may turn to eating or anything like that that may be harmful to us. So, in that case, mental health is very important because uh, you need to, if just being a creative person, if you're not fueling your creative side or fueling your creativity, you really can't release it, so to speak. And I've noticed that talking with whether it's a therapist or a close friend, but I prefer therapists because they can always give you the educated opinion. And so I found it important to keep a therapist on speed dial
Thank you for normalizing
just
that.
because
Yeah.
it's a tough time now. Yeah, I mean it's just I think mental health is as important as physical health, and so yeah, it's very important. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Listen, and I'll say it again. Thank you for normalizing
Oh, of
therapy
course.
intervention and being engaged in therapy because, especially as a male, not as a male, as a black male, right? Normalizing that for many that may be resistant
Right.
to go outside of the home and talk to a therapist about mental health. So, what are
Right.
challenges that you found though when speaking about mental health? Are you as open to talking about it, or are there challenges, or were there challenges like, and especially the question I always ask people is, growing up, how was mental health communicated in your family? Like with me, it wasn't. We didn't go outside the home and talk about mental health. It stayed inside the
Right.
house, right? Or in the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in terms of family, I think, how can I say this? I'm just gonna say it. It was something that we didn't do, and if you did it, you were trying to be something else, or something that you weren't. And it's always been important to me to have a therapist, simply because you have problems in life that sometimes are bigger than you and bigger than what your experiences have been. So you just need a guide. And like I said, it's as important as physical health. If you're having problems or you feel like you can't deal with certain things, go see somebody. Go talk to anyone, a counselor, anybody. I think it's very important, especially the times that we face now, financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It's very important to stay mentally healthy. I mean, we see that with a lot of celebrities, with a lot of gold medal winning Olympians. How important mental health is and taking care of yourself mentally. So it's very very important, especially for our community.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second. You are notable for competing. Um, how does that impact mental health? It seems like that would be such a heavy weight on your shoulders
Um,
competing.
well, believe it or not, I know when I first started baking, I never was a competitive person in the sense that it was always harder for me to compete with myself because I think I'm my biggest critic, and I think it's always a challenge for me to perfect to perfect a dessert that, doing something I've always been working on, or you may see something one way and perfect it. So it's a lot of practicing and practicing and practicing. So it's always been, I've always found myself to be my own biggest critic. And when you're competing, especially in a public forum, you have to kind of change your mindset, so to speak. And you have to, it's a challenging thing simply because you have to prepare yourself mentally that, you know, you make a cookie and it's going to be on, national television, so and so million people. Well, actually, I try not to think about that. So, because, that part is a little scary. So, you just think of, okay, you're on TV and, okay, he doesn't like your cake or your cookies or whatever. You say, oh, whatever. I know my cookies are good. You just may not like them, and that's fine. So,
Yeah.
you have to kind of change your mindset and kind of switch gears, so to speak. But that's a really tough thing, and I always encourage a lot of chefs that may want to do it is that you have to make sure if you accept the criticism of your supervisor or especially your family, because I know early on when I started baking cakes at home and doing things for my family members and things like that, my sister Kimmy was a critic of mine, and she would always say, that color doesn't look right or that doesn't work. So it was good training for me because being in this business, you're going to always be critiqued. You're going to always be criticized. You're going to always be talked about whether your food is no good or people don't think you as good as they may think you are, or whatever. So you have to have a tough skin, and you can't be. It's not. This business is really not for the faint of heart. You have to have a tough skin, and you have to be able to accept constructive criticism, and it will only make you better. It would only make you a better competitor. It would only make you better creatively as well as a chef. So that's how I usually kind of deal with it. I kind of put my game face on and just take it with a grain of salt most times, but also realize from the professional aspect of it, okay, I could have done that better, or I could have changed the flavor profile on it, or I could have cleaned up the edges on my cake a little bit better. So I take it and I absorb it, I learn from it, and then I move on because that's truly the only way that you get better at your craft, you get better at your profession, and you get better at what you do. You accept that constructive criticism, you absorb it, and you move on.
That's what I was going to say. That constructive criticism, if you're able to self-reflect on what was done.
Yeah,
Yeah, as opposed to
absolutely.
But so guys, we're talking to executive chef Padua Player here, and we're talking about competing. So I would, I get anxious by watching, the shows because when they do critique your food, my concern would be the audience or the viewers, following suit or, being influenced by negative critiques about food. You don't think about that?
Um, I mean, it depends on how bad it is. But I always use this analogy just because I'm a huge Whitney fan. I always say, okay, Whitney may not have sang her best that particular night, but she can
Right. Okay.
still sing and she's still the best. I never think of myself as being the best, but I know I'm great at what I do. I know I'm good at what I do. I know what I'm doing. I'm fully aware of what I'm doing. So I just say, okay, maybe it wasn't straight that night, but I'll be better next time. Or he doesn't know what he's talking. No, I just don't say that part. But I usually would say, okay, I'll do it better next time. So it's okay. I just take it and just keep on moving.
That's a good coping skill. Good coping skill, and it boosts
Yeah.
confidence, right? Exactly. So again, so you've worked with a lot of celebrities. Every time I look up you on TV, on Fox 5 News, um, what does that do for your career, being out there like that, around celebrities and cooking and baking for celebrities?
Well, that's tell people working with celebrities and doing TV stuff is always a bonus. But what people don't realize and what they don't see or they may not have seen is that I can remember a time, Leslie, when I was working and I had three jobs. You know what I mean? I was baking at one restaurant, I was hosting at another restaurant like 3 days a week, and then I was baking part time at another restaurant. And I was sleeping more on the Metro bus, leaving my full time job, going to my part time job, and then coming back home. At the time, I think I was maybe living on Capitol Hill. I was working downtown, and then I would get off at that job and then catch the bus up to Friendship Heights, and I was working part time at an Italian restaurant for a long time. And people don't see the blood, sweat, and tears. So whatever people may see now, it's a lot of hard work that's happened behind the scenes. Like I said, I can remember a time where I was sleeping more on Metro than I was in my own bed because I would catch a nap going to one job to the other. And it's rough. And it's this business again. It's not for the faint of heart. And the most important, like I said, doing the celebrity and the TV stuff is all bonus because at that point you know that your hard work has paid off. But you just really can't stop there. And the most important thing is that doing celebrity stuff is great. However, it's the everyday person that supports your business. A lot of my clientele is professional women. So, it's that doctor or it's that lawyer or it's that social worker or that nurse. Those are the most important people in your business simply because those people embrace your talent. They appreciate your talent. And, doing the celebrity stuff is fun. And what does it do for my business? It's recognition for your work. It's notoriety, building your notoriety. It's solidifying your brand. It's all of those great things. But like I said, it's the everyday people that keep your business going. It's that lady that calls you once a year to do her son's birthday cake. It's that friend that calls you and say, "Hey, you made my son's first birthday cake. I need you to make another one." Or it's that person that may call you every Tuesday. It's for sure. Or my wife loves for you to do this. Can you do that for me? And people like that really are close to my heart that think about me at important times of their lives. And I can remember a coworker of mine. I did his son's first birthday cake. It was a Winnie the Pooh cake, and now I think he's in like the military now. So moments like that are, they're really close. They soften my heart because at that point you realize that, especially for me, because a person that may not, sometimes you kind of question your ability, or you may question your creativity, or you may be stuck, or you may hit a mental block or something like that. It's those moments that kind of reassure you that you're on the right path in your professional life. That it reaffirms that you're doing the right thing. If you have one of those days where you're like, things maybe not have turned out right, you're like, okay, you know, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path. So those times are most important to me. Celebrity stuff is all fun for me. It's great meeting the people that you've loved and that you've listened to or that you've seen on TV. And so all that stuff is great. And, like I said, it helps you to build your brand, solidify your brand. It helps you to, to propel yourself forward. So it's all good stuff.
Credibility too.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then, friends that call you to bake a cake for their graduation party, that's dear to your heart.
Hmm.
You didn't get that.
Yeah, yeah. I caught it. But it's true, because I realize that, I'm not the best one, but I realize I appreciate when people pick up the phone or think enough of me rather to pick up the phone and call me. And like I said, I've worked with some people at very important periods in their life, whether it's having a child or baby shower or graduation. You know what I mean? You'll only graduate from that particular college at that particular time, hopefully more than one time, but it may be one time at that particular moment. Um, even a divorce cake or some bachelorette cake or whatever. So it's nice that, I've been fortunate enough that a lot of people have carried me with, you know, with them through their life. And, that kind of is near and dear to my heart. So, yeah.
So, Padua, out of
Did I answer your question?
yeah,
I think I did.
perfect. After out of all the folks that you've worked with, even amongst the chefs that were your mentors, etc., who's made a lasting impact on you?
Oh my, it's been so many.
It can be more than one.
That's hard to say. it's like a favorite child. But I think the person, oh my God, besides my mom, of course, and my family, I think though, oh my God, I'm gonna try not to cry. But wow.
Oh, wow. Take your time.
Anyway, she probably, hmm, okay, okay, I can do it. Okay. I don't know where this came from. I really don't. But anyway, um, I think one of the most important people that has impacted my life, like besides my family and friends and things like that, was probably, she probably only noticed, my sixth grade teacher. You know, just growing up, the youngest of seven, um, you're finding yourself, you know what I mean? And I can remember her name is Mr. Freitas, Aton Elementary School, 49th and 49th Street. So Mrs. DeFreitas, I wanted to go to this camp, and it was like, I don't know if it was like a science camp. It was some sort of camp. It was, I wanted, okay, camp, and it was in Thurmont, Maryland. Now I remember. I can't remember the name of the camp, but I knew at the time, you know, I grew up in Lincoln Heights, you know, and my mother bought a house maybe like 3 blocks away. But at the time, I really wanted to go to this camp. And I was like, Mr. Freeman. And so she was like, okay, I hope you fill out an application. Whatever. I was a kid and I took it home for my mom to sign or whatever. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it. So anyway, Freitas, who, here we go, she believed in me enough that she wrote a letter to, you know, the camp counselors or whatever. And and I was able to go to that camp. The fact that this lady just went out of her way for me, because of, you know, at the time, you know, you're in sixth grade, you're insecure, you're trying to find yourself, trying to figure out what you want to be in life. What are you going to do after elementary school? So the fact that Mr. Freitas wrote this letter to these people, you know, camp counselor, whatever, who was in charge of selecting kids to go, the fact that she did that, it just, it just did something to me. And I never forgot that, because out of a lot of my teachers and instructors that I've had in terms of schooling, I'll never forget her, because she was one of the first to believe in me, you know. And so I think that's why I kind of get choked up about it, because just being a young kid, you know, I always give my same story. You know, I was a little brown boy who grew up in Lincoln Heights, the northeast part of DC. And being the youngest of seven, you know, I grew up in a single parent household. My mother didn't have a lot of money, but she worked very hard. And you know, you're finding yourself and you realize that you may not have the things or the advantages that the other kids may have, but you knew you had love in your house. You knew that your mom, you know, that your parents love you and your siblings love you. And what most what was most important to me is that somebody that was around me, here we go, outside of my family, and that was, you know, I don't want to say a stranger, but I was only in her class for like a year or whatever. And the fact that she went out of her way and she believed in me and she went to bat for me. And it's funny, one of the great things about doing TV and doing national TV is that at the time, I think I was, you know, because I always wanted to find Mr. Freitas and just thank her or whatever. And I think I was, at that time I was filming, or Holiday Baking Championship was on. And I just so happened to be on a lot of the commercials and promos for the show. And, you know, I was at home one day and she called me. You know, I got a phone call. I was like, hello? And the person was like, well, you know, I need to speak with Padua, you know, you may, and I said, hi, you know, speaking. And she was like, you know, you may not know who this is, And the minute that I heard her voice, I knew exactly who she was. So she didn't have to finish a sentence. So I just started crying. And I was like, Mr. Fridas. But anyway, needless to say, we had a chance to catch up, and we had a chance to go to lunch. I probably need to see her again soon. Go to lunch, and then I had a real heart talk, and I formally thanked her for what she did for my life, impacting my life, as well as I'm sure thousands of other kids that she had the pleasure of teaching, or had the kids had, the experience of being a teacher, because she was a great teacher, and she was one of those teachers that cared, you know what I mean? And, we have, a lot of them are far and few between. Some kids are, but she was one of those people, one of those teachers that cared about her students. So I'm thankful to have been blessed enough to have that experience. And I'm thankful. I mean, that was one of the people who really impacted my life more than probably what she even thought about, because that's just the kind of person that she is.
Oh my gosh, thank you for
Yeah.
being so honorable. And
Yeah.
wonderful.
Oof.
And it was, yeah, but let me tell you, you can, I don't know if you
The
agree with
goldfish
that.
eyes.
Right, but listen, in our families, people of color in our families, our support systems often extend outside of our immediate families, right? Meaning in
Right.
school systems and other places. My support system outside of my family, because like
Right.
I didn't have either, right? I couldn't afford to go to school, to go to college. The person that first impacted me, name was Jackie McDonald. And I talked about her, at my graduation party.
Hmm.
Um, but she was a big influence on me because she believed in me enough to send me to school after high school. So, that means a lot to us because when we grow up, we have that first exposure as children with someone not only believing in us, but giving us an opportunity to move forward. And because she did that for me, gave me my first exposure to, I guess, pre-college. It was like a technical institute, right? Then I wanted to go to college. I was
Hmm.
going to go to college after this, right? But if she would not have done that, would not have exposed me, I don't even know if I would have went to college
Yeah. She sowed the seed.
because I thought I couldn't afford it.
Yeah. 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 Same thing with me. I know. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say I'm sure so many you have similar experiences.
Yeah. I was when I was in high school, and again, an insecure little kid. I wasn't sure what my future was going to be. Excuse me. I knew that I was creatively driven. I knew that I wanted to do something with my life, um, but I was just a little unsure what that was. And so, working in that restaurant and working with those different people of so many different backgrounds and so many different cultures and things like that, it really kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. I was able to see things outside of I was able to see things in a different way, see things in a different light, able to see things outside of the four walls or outside of the neighborhood where I live. Not, no shade or harm to you guys.
Hey, we were able to see things outside of that, outside
Right,
of
you
what
see
we
things
thought,
that there is a world outside,
right?
and right, and yeah, that there is a world outside of Northeast CC, outside of your neighborhood, and again, I didn't think I could afford college, but I figured it out, and it's a never ending journey. Um, it's the journey of life. You keep pushing, but you just persevere and just push through it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what are you currently doing, and what upcoming projects do you have?
I'm doing so many things right now.
Speak loud,
I
speak loud
recently
and
launched
proud.
my podcast. I recently launched my podcast. I discovered I had a gift of gab, and I was, I need to do something with this big mouth. And it kind of happened during the pandemic. So I launched a podcast called Sweet Talk with Sugar Chef. And I speak with a lot of small entrepreneurs, that that we have similar interests, and we talk about a lot of different things. So, Sweet Talk Chef podcast available everywhere on all your podcasts. I'm still diligently working on my cookbook. Um, I'm relaunching my little pink box.
Ooh, I didn't
Plug that.
do tell. Oh,
Yeah, I kind of rebranded that. A little bit. I'm still kind of. Oh, you want to see it? You want to do? You want to do my? Yeah.
about it. What is that? What's in it? What comes in it?
So the little pink box, excuse me, the little pink box started out as basically a sample box because a lot of people were like, oh, is there any way I can do a sample box of things like that? So I created this simply because I was starting to get a lot of requests for people wanting to sample different things. So I rebranded this. I'm currently still kind of tightening up on the details about this, but it basically will be a sample box. I'm not sure if I'm going to be if it will be mailing or mailers or something like that, but I'm finalizing details on that. So if you stay tuned to my social media, Sugar Chef on Instagram, at Sugar Chef on Twitter, Sugar Chef Desserts on TikTok, Sugar Chef Desserts on Facebook, and of course my name as well. It'll talk about release things like that, and release dates. Would you say? I'm sorry.
Make sure you send that to me so I can
Of course. So I'm working on this. I'm working on the podcast. I'm working on my cookbook. Right now, I've just been doing a lot of menu developing for work and things like that. And I have some other things in the works that will be launching this fall. So I'm super excited to talk about that. It's something, again, that's near and dear to my heart that hopefully people will enjoy, that people will support. And so I got a lot of different,
That's
look, I'm doing this.
awesome. Hey, listen, man, we all are doing
So I have a lot of different things going on. And of course, so I'm doing what I have to do to push myself forward.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of things going on, but most important thing is that right now it's a podcast, and I'll be coming into my second season in the fall. And I'm excited because I'm reaching out to some really great guests for the second season. So those are some of the projects I'm working on. I'm excited about. Super excited about.
I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. Because you are doing a thing, right? And I know what you mean.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a journey.
Yeah. It's like when we try to be successful, it's like we have so many, like me, I have so many ideas in my brain that I want to do everything all at once, right? And sometimes it can become overwhelming.
Right.
And sometimes it does become overwhelming, right? But it's about keeping yourself grounded and flat-footed so that you can continue
absolutely
forward, not give up, but continue to push forward, right? Because it does. It's hard work. Like you said, it's hard work.
Right.
Hard work. It's just what happens.
Right. Yeah, and I just know for me, in my experiences, I've had a lot of different projects that have been on my mind for a long time. And sometimes it kind of takes a minute to kind of, gather your thoughts around, just dotting the I's, crossing the T's, making sure it's really what you want, making sure it's, the project is really what you had envisioned. So, I just figured it'll launch when it's supposed to launch, and everything is in due time and God's time. So that's how I look at it. I was like, I'll release it when I want to release it. I'll release it when it's supposed to happen. I got 99 other things going on in my life. And so that's it.
As we end, any final words to upcoming chefs, up and rising chefs, or people that's out here that want to become chefs?
Well, simply because we are talking about mental health, I think it's very, very important for any chefs, especially chefs of color, but any chef just going into the business, that you keep yourself healthy mentally as well as physically, but most importantly mentally, because you will come into situations situations where making your talents, other people may question your talents, and you want to make sure that you're able to handle those situations professionally, um, smoothly, and that you can stay in a healthy state of mind, you know,
Yeah.
because like I said, it's a very stressful business, high stress, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you keep yourself in a healthy state of mind. So I think that's the biggest lesson. You know, find yourself a good therapist. And then when I say a good therapist, excuse me, it could be your, you know, your general practitioner, or it could be, you know, any of the medical people that you surround yourself with that you feel most comfortable. You know, if a doctor's examining your body, they may ask you, you know, so how are you doing? Just talk to them about it, you know? So I think that's my biggest advice to give to anyone, especially now, is to take care of yourself mentally as well as physically. Yeah,
Also
that's my best advice.
yeah, and also encourage a support system outside as well. Even a mentor. You talked about earlier about having a mentor,
Yeah,
identifying someone that could be a mentor that you trust and you
yeah,
can talk to as well. Okay, so we are.
yeah. It's important to have, yeah, are we
Finish
done?
your thought. Finish your thought.
No, it's important to have, you cut me off. No, no, to have, it's important to have that support system. And it's to have a support system that can see around corners that you may not be able to. And yeah, set yourself a mentor. Yeah. Doesn't have to necessarily be in your business. It could just be someone who understands the struggle and understands the journey, your journey. So yeah, find yourself a mentor.
I think we all should have mentors. I have a mentor.
That's my final thought.
I have a few mentors. I think we all should have mentors. Yeah, I have a few.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I was reading Beverly Smith's book. I was reading Beverly Smith's book, and she encourages that. And she was saying how her mentor is the one who really kind of pushed her to the direction that she didn't think she was going in, but it was a direction that she needed to go in. So yeah. Oh, one of my final thoughts is thank you for being a friend. Dun, 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 dun. Travel down the road. But thank you for having me, Dr. Rogers.
it's
It's been a great time,
it's been
and
very
I
pleasant.
think this is the first time I cried in a interview.
Kind of used
So
to
yeah,
people crying
I
around me.
know, right?
I had this thing about me.
Actually, I cried. Wait. Actually, I cried on the show. I cried on one of the competition shows because I started thinking about some family stuff that was going on, and thank God they didn't show it on TV because I would have been like, ugh. So anyway, so yeah, so there
Glad.
you have it. So the tears actually, ooh.
Okay, well, thank you guys for watching. Oh my gosh,
At least
again.
I was in a safe space.
Hey, listen, are you done talking? You were in a safe
I'm
space.
done.
You're in a safe space now too.
Right there, you go. Hmm.
This is Dr. Leslie Rogers. You are watching Mental Health Talk with guest executive chef, pastry chef, Padua player. Um, thank you guys
Thank you. Thank you so much.
for working through us with the technical difficulties, and you see that we were
I
creative,
know, right?
but we are working from home. And so thank you guys again for attending, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Peace and blessings. And okay, so now that we went a different mode, guys, these are the outtakes that you guys are watching right now, right?
Dun, 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 travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. Dun, dun, dun. And if you threw a party and they invited everyone, you knew. Oh God.
How do you save this?
Uh,
Do I just hit end? Will it save automatically?
wait, yeah. Let me see. I don't. It should say something. Oh wait.
See, this is why we need professional people to record these shows because we're amateurs trying to record up here.
Hold on.
I just hit end.
Hold on. Wait. No, don't sit in. Hold on. Meeting settings. Oh my God. Hold on. Meeting settings.
I think you just hit end.
Zoom. I don't know. Hold on. Share content. Okay, you can only one that can share the content. Okay. Oh my God. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, you're the only one that can share it. Meeting settings. I think if you go to no, those emojis. I think if you go look into your meeting settings and see, because I know I was able to share the content.
I think all you do is hit. Hey, I think all you do is hit end and it automatically saves.
Are you sure? I don't think so. I think you have to save it. Why don't you text Renee and ask her?
We're still live, guys.
Ooh. We're still live? I'm glad I didn't say anything to incriminate myself. Oh, I didn't stand up. I'm glad I didn't stand up.
You're so silly. Oh goodness. See,
I
y'all.
think if oh
This is Dr.
God,
Rogers with her
I
hat
think
on.
if you have to do it. Yeah, you have to do it.
This is
I think if you have to go into your settings and save it. I can't do it because I'm a guest. You said what? Did you save it?
this is Dr. Rogers with her hat off. This is Leslie right now.
Leslie, did you go into the settings? It says meeting settings. If you hit it and you say it says more and it says meeting settings. Touch up appearances on, always show control, blah 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 blah. If you go into the other part in your settings, it'll tell you. Yeah, I can't do any of that stuff.